Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut. No, live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Flatsoid, Quantum Eraser, and I think that's pretty much it in G+. Very good to have you both.
Hey, 10th this year.
Oh, hey, 10th. Your icon's never, ever visible right at the beginning.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
And hello to everyone in Discord. Hopefully I've got some of you at least off mute.
Off mute.
Off mute.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, you're all off mute now. Hello, Discord server. Any signs of Earth curvature?
Not from Rhode Island.
Still flat South Africa.
Each time you say that, 10th is in a different spot.
I know. He's all over the world, isn't he? About axial rotation of the Earth-based variety.
No, Earth-based Coriolis.
Where? In Albuquerque?
About scientific evidence of gravity? Any of that floating about?
No, gravity's just a made-up term.
Yeah, it's just concept.
No, it's not even a concept. It's just some made-up word.
Part of it's true, though.
Oh, pray tell.
Imagine a time.
It's falling apart.
Imagine a time when if we could actually manipulate it, though.
Manipulate time?
Ooh,
Manipulate
we got
what?
Doc Brown on the panel.
1.21 gigawatts.
Now, gigawatts.
Yeah, that was a
I knew that was
mispronunciation given to the producer that just got passed down to the cast.
We got a reverse Timmy Clown fallacy.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No, it's a light in the sky.
Not in Zimbabwe.
You telling me there's no sun in Zimbabwe? I'm pretty sure that's not the case. Hey, Arwin.
Yeah, we covered the radio astronomy stuff allegedly with the distance. So I guess the next spot is the spectroscopy, which QE said he's going to cover. With regards to the sun.
Oh, sure. Yeah, this will obviously come into it.
Well, yeah, you have radio spectroscopy, but that we're not going to deal with that. We're gonna just go with the sun. So,
Yeah, I looked up black body. I won't give the game away.
you looked up black body radiation.
Yeah, because you wouldn't tell me what it was yesterday, so I thought, well, sod it, I'll look it up.
Did I refuse to tell you what it was?
No, it's part of your presentation. You said there's nothing to see here. Moving on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, you're going to run across Kirchhoff's law, right? You run across that?
I think it was mentioned. I didn't actually click on that particular link.
Yeah. It's a train wreck.
The
The formula debunks itself. which is so funny. I don't know if I'm going to get deep into that. It looked like I was just going to do a general presentation, but that never works out, man. Just doesn't work out, So I thought about it yesterday. I said, no, I'm probably going to have to start from the beginning. I'm not going to do the history and stuff like that. It just takes too long. So I'm going to try to keep it streamlined, but it's difficult.
I want to segue into Maxwell's demon. So, any evidence of gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
No, still waiting for demonstration otherwise, though.
Nope.
Any comments in Discord server before we get into Maxwell's demon?
No comments.
No? Is that a no, Darren?
Yes, I'll be a no.
So, yesterday, Paul had a visual representation of a chamber with a pump and a heat/ice cooling source underneath it. Lid on top, and the lid blew off. And I don't know if it was relevant that the lid had blown off when you said what you said, but you said, no, this isn't entropy increase. That's Maxwell's demon.
No, I was just making a joke.
Yeah, I realise, but I didn't. That's why I didn't highlight it at the time when it was just a gag. But there may be people out there that have no idea what Maxwell's demon is. This would you call it a thought experiment?
Yes.
So, can you tell us what Maxwell's demon is, please?
I wasn't prepared for this.
Doesn't he have a silver hammer?
Oh, there's a gag come in. I knew it. I knew as soon as I asked him to start detailing it, a gag would come from somewhere. Go on, 10th man. Get it all out.
What? Sorry?
I said, doesn't he have a silver hammer?
A silver Hemi?
Yeah. It's an old Beatles song.
Okay. Bit before my time. Sorry.
Maxwell, in brief, it was a quite feeble and absurd attempt to disprove the second law of thermodynamics. It's really stupid. The second law of the second law of thermodynamics is a natural law. As soon as you invoke any intelligence anywhere near it, then it train wrecks your whole appeal. So, in Maxwell's demon, you have an intelligent agent opening and closing friggin' sides of the box, allowing certain particles through and other particles not, basically, essentially. So, like I said, as soon as you invoke intelligence into a natural law, it's nonsensical. I don't even know how it even got airtime. So, it's train wreck. Stupid.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
Nope. Just 12 kilometers deep.
Not in Greenbow, Alabama.
Not in Tunisia. What about the R value itself? Earth radius.
Presupposed.
The Arvin and here.
Not in Saskatchewan.
Would that be a radius of a sphere or a radius of a disk or something else?
Yeah, I intentionally leave that out so that not you, but a fundie can kind of detail how they acquire the flat circle and then presuppose it's spherical by way of radius.
Okay, gotcha.
Would a spatial loop also count as a radius?
What the hell is a spatial loop?
Remember, like they conceptualize wormholes, the piece of paper putting the pencil in.
Right, like the Matrix train tunnel or a 2D side scroller on a Nintendo. You go out one side and come in the other.
You could consider that as a radius if you go with the imagining of the direct connection being a circle.
So bottom line, it's all just assumption.
Sorry, I'm making things needlessly complicated.
That's okay, Arwin. That concludes the housekeeping. So I'll get it in early. Be here or be sphere on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel, 8 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. You want to tell us what you're covering, Huey?
Yes, we're going to go back over natural experiments along with field studies and observational studies. I did this presentation a few weeks ago, but I had some technical difficulties with the computer, and it seems that I've solved that issue. So we're going to go back over that, drop anchor around what is natural, what does natural mean, and toe tag chat troll astronomer, Charlie Cosray. Be there, be sphere.
Be here or be sphere on the Quantum Eraser channel, 8 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. Central Standard. That's tonight, Tuesday, the 15th. Yeah, 15th. You got your plug in the pre-show, Arwin.
Me?
I was actually watching you today for a change.
Yeah, well, it's always good to watch my show, of course, the Flat Earth Early Bird Show, 2 p.m. Amsterdam time every day. What is that? Between 6 and 10 US time. Very early. And midnight in Australia and New Zealand. So every day, come and watch it on my channel, Arwin, RWIJN.
Be here
Thanks
or
for
be
the plug.
sphere. So please share the show, which is precisely why I've gone quiet, because that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Now. So has the Discord server just filled up with people that aren't chatting?
Good morning, guys.
Hey, Chocolate, sorry, I didn't see you there.
It's all good.
Good job.
What's up?
Trolling us on the last couple of videos, coincidentally, Chocolate, when it's been appropriate to do so. So I think it was when we were talking about Jupiter. Your interruptions consisted of, when do we do calculations?
Yeah. I remember I heard that yesterday. I was like, what the hell? That was a silly move. I want to calculate.
Perfect, absolutely perfect. You've also got Anthony, who's decided to slip into character just at the right moment. So at the beginning, not at a crucial moment, but at the beginning of one of Quantum Eraser's explanations for why natural experiments aren't experiments, destroying Anthony's claim to be point. And he starts rumpusing him, and I'm like, no rumpusing please, Anthony. Because, you know, I just thought he was, as is often the case, just a bit too much into character. You know, he knows his character's position's being shattered, so he's got a rumpus in character, right? But he wasn't. He didn't intentionally done it to point out that that's where it typically would happen if you're dealing with a fundy. So it's like this nice little neat package of the claim that Jupiter is a gas giant in a vacuum being debunked by way of gas law. And you've got the assertions that you've got a physical interaction between these bodies that have been observed. I don't know how many years it was by Paul. He's not here at the moment, but he actually observed this. And those assertions being put through the scientific method, obviously failing to get past the first step. So all of that was like packaged up nicely to say, look, their claim of a sky vacuum with a gas giant having things physically interact and leave scars in weather patterns is complete nonsense. Here's how it gets demolished, along with a hint at what the fundies do when they come to obfuscate these demolitions of their claims. So it was a nice little package, but that was the show. Like I said, I think it was called something like Space Planet Jupiter Debunked by Science. And in between that, you've got Chocolate going, where do I calculate? Where's the maths? Just perfect.
We need the math. Yep.
And the other one was Timmy Clown. So Jose J.G. Gonzalez has come into the show, started recording without telling anybody, and then later played it on his show, making it seem like he's arranged a debate with me, which he hadn't. Which he then played on his show with my Hangout link playing to his audience. So Timmy has obviously seen this and just can't resist writing it down by hand and joining the show. So that's what he's done. Not that he couldn't just join by Discord. He could have done that anyway, but, fair enough, whatever. So he joins the panel, which is great, because obviously we start taking apart some of his old assertions, some of his old observations. Just fantastic to have people like Timmy return just to get absolutely demolished, especially as Coriolis effect comes up. He starts asserting that the Earth's rotating underneath his magnum.
Right.
Yeah, with his Coriolis app on his phone.
Right. Great stuff. Been a good few days. Oh, and Zanuck, lest I forget. Zanuck debunking space altogether with gas law. PVNRT. What's the gas law? I'll kick you out. PVNRT. What's V?
Hilarious, man.
It's been a good few shows.
Yeah, and then he said the gas was the volume, and you said, no, it's the container. He goes, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Because presumably, he's not to lie too much, because he'll look really stupid.
Oh, it's way too late for that.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, somebody's trying to talk and I've got him on mute. Sorry. Practice tactic. Is that right? Tiny lettering.
Hello.
Hello. Good to have you.
Hey, how's it going? So you guys can hear me right now?
Yeah, coming through loud and clear.
All right, cool. So yeah, I tried to get on here to speak to you guys. Like, I think it was like last week or something. But I think that the Discord, it wasn't available for, I guess, like people that's not on the panel or people that try to talk. I guess it's like a defense mechanism that you guys have to make sure that you can eliminate trolls and stuff like that, which is understandable. But
no, it's probably just full. So it can fit. You can join until it's full. Basically, anybody can join.
Okay. But yeah, I just wanted to get on here to. I know this is like a flat Earth debate or whatever, and I wanted to find out more about it. Because I have people on my job and stuff, pretty much telling me about this, and at first I thought it was preposterous, and I'm like, how can you have people that believe the Earth is flat? And one of the things that this one guy on my job, he brought up, he was talking about gravity and how it doesn't exist. And I told him, I said, yo, bro, just walk off of a cliff and you will definitely know that it exists, because you will fall down and you will hit the ground and, you will die. And he proceeded to tell me something about like density or something like that. But it sounded weird to me. But I just wanted to see if I could get an explanation on what you guys say about it, because he referred me to you guys, say you guys like the experts or something.
Sure. Who wants to take this? Nobody.
Yeah, I'll take it if Riley's not there.
Yeah, you're perfect. Go ahead, Ollie.
All right. Okay. So yes, have you heard anything about relative density before your that time, or you don't know anything about it?
No, well, I know what density is, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but when, like, from my knowledge, density is basically how heavy an object is or something. Is that pretty much what that is?
Almost.
Like, for instance,
Almost.
Okay.
Right. So
you can
what
explain
the
it to me.
density? I'll explain
crazy.
it. What the density of material is its volumetric mass. It's how much weight or mass there is to a specific volume of the material. And the ratio between the volume and the mass is what gives it its density. And yeah, materials can be changed in their density, and this has consequences when that happens. So what happens is that if you mix up materials of different densities that are fluid, That means they can be gas or a liquid, but not a solid object. Then they will rearrange themselves eventually, when left to their own device, to different density layers. Because what density materials do is they seek its relative density equilibrium point within the spectrum of all things it is in. So that in its medium, basically. So if you
hold on, Owen. Just see how well he's following along. What's your name again? The text on my Discord's so small. What's your name?
My actual name is Brandon, but on here it says Prince Tactic. That's like my gamer name or whatever. But yeah, you can just call me Tactic.
Tactic, perfect. So far, the most important detail that Arwen's got to is equilibrium. Do you follow along so far?
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand it correctly, based off of how he explained it, when he says equilibrium, okay, so let's say if I get a rock, right, and I drop that off of a tall building. Okay, so being that that rock is dense, according to what he's saying, that would mean that the air around it is less dense and the rock is more dense, and that's why it falls.
Exactly.
And it reaches equilibrium.
Correct. Do you want
it's equilibrium.
Perfect.
The foundation, the ground, or something. Or?
Perfect. So far, so
almost.
hold on. Yeah. So far, so good. Do you want to continue with your explanation, Arwen? There's a bit more, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to expand a little bit upon his explanation. He was correct up until the point that he said at the ground it finds its equilibrium. Well, technically that's not entirely correct, because a rock resting on the ground, it's a solid object, it's not gonna, like a fluid, spread around. The rock is gonna be, as it's resting on the ground, still surrounded by air, and that means it's not at equilibrium with its surrounding. And then it's gonna translate that disequilibrium into pressure locally towards where its equilibrium point would be, and that's downward.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me.
It always depends on the material.
Hold on, Owen. He's got a question.
The object is in.
Hold on, just 1 second. Hold on, Owen. What was your question, Tactic? Go ahead.
Okay, so all right. So this is my question. What if we put water into play? How does that equilibrium work with that? Like, okay, so if I throw a rock in the ocean or a lake or whatever, just any body of water.
Okay.
That won't sink. How does that play into that? I haven't really put much thought into it because my mind is kind of blown right now.
Don't worry about it. That's fine. That's fine. Generally speaking, most people are under the impression that you drop something and it falls because a force has pulled it to the ground, when in reality, when you're on the top of the cliff, you're in, Aaron hasn't said it yet, but fall arrest. So the ground beneath you is stopping you from going down, but you're not in equilibrium. Likewise, if you pick up a ball and drop it, you've taken it out of equilibrium and then dropped it, but the gravity equation starts from the point that you are in the air holding the ball. So jump off a cliff, well, you're already up high enough to go down because you're more dense than the air around you.
Okay.
Likewise, just one last point. Likewise, things go the other direction. So if you have a helium balloon, it'll go up when you let it go, as opposed to go down.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So also, if you put helium inside of a balloon, right, it will go up due to the. I know helium is lighter than the air, so is that basically what you're saying? Is that the helium trying to reach its point of equilibrium? The reason why it's going up?
Yes. So yes, it's if you just substitute less light with less dense, less dense than the air. So because the helium is less dense, it's trying to reach equilibrium, but equilibrium for the balloon is up because it's less dense than the air. Right. Equilibrium for you if in fall arrest, i.e. at the top of a cliff, equilibrium for you is down.
Right.
Yes,
Yo,
but
but
as
it
a
is so
human
has to
being,
do with the
if I may
object.
expand a bit,
Hold on,
as a
Chocolate.
human
Hold on.
being,
Everyone, hold on. Go ahead, Arwin.
Talk.
Just hold on one second.
if I
Tactic.
may expand for a bit, if you are a human being and you have your lungs full with air, and you go and sit on a very salty piece of water or go into it, you're going to float pretty much to the top of it, because combined with the air and the density of your blood and your flesh and your bones, combine it all together, is going to be just slightly less dense than that very packed, salty, thick water. So that's why you're going to then, go to the top. Unless you carry a rock with you that is like pretty dense, pretty heavy, then if you hold on to it, your combined density, because you're holding it, you're basically one single object. Your combined density is then gonna pull you down beneath the thick water anyway.
Facts. That's understandable. Okay, I get it. Okay. It's just it's messing me up a little bit. So so basically, according to you guys, you're telling me that this whole gravity thing, right? According to my knowledge and what I was taught, gravity is a pulling force that is originated from the center of the earth, and it's holding us in, basically just keeping us from being flung off of the spinning earth. That's my, simplified summed up version of what I
Fair
think
enough.
gravity is. So you guys saying that doesn't exist, right?
No, now just I'm taking off my flat earth cap and putting on my globe head. Can you pop yourself on mute, Tactic? It's just causing a bit of feedback. So with my globe head hat on to explain their rhetoric, which you're reciting incorrectly, I would say no, gravity is not a force. So the old gravity, 100 plus years old, has been superseded by new gravity. Old gravity would be what we call Cavendish / Reverend John Mitchell gravity. I won't even utter the name that you'll know it by. It's not even important. But the new replacement is Einsteinian gravity. Now, Einsteinian gravity is the bending of a conceptual medium known as space-time. Now, that should, if it doesn't already, ring alarm bells, because conceptual mediums...
I have heard that before.
Sure.
Yeah, I heard that before. Sorry, yeah, I guess I said it wrong.
No, it's okay. The crucial detail being that the current version of gravity is two things that are important to you. Number one, it's not a force. Number two, it's the bending of a concept. Now, if you're unfamiliar with concepts, you can't bend them. They're not physical. Same as you can't bend freedom. It's a concept. But gravity in its current incarnation is a concept being bent, giving rise to a not actual force. That's what gravity is currently. So this pulling to the center, no, that's not what it is. It's not a force.
Okay, got you. Oh
So,
man,
yeah.
I tell you what, bro. Like you guys, I'm gonna have to stay posted to learn a little more about this whole thing, because it's kind of blowing my mind right now.
I totally get it.
I gotta be honest.
It blew my mind a year ago as well. So.
And it's not spinning either.
Yeah, we're not moving either.
Oh, by the way, Nathan, if I may, I'd like to expand just a little about the relative density theory versus gravity. Just a little. Because there's so many claims about gravity, and I'd like to set them all straight. Or most of them.
Be my guest.
All right. So one of the things that ballers claim that prove gravity is an acceleration rate within a vacuum chamber. They say, look, because of this, that means that there is a force being applied externally, causing the displacement of the object. According to Newtonian mechanics, there's a force present that is doing that. Well, the relative density theory also explains it, but with better actually provable scientific foundations. Because, an object that is surrounded by a medium that is like almost nothing in relation to it, it will indeed accelerate. And there's the thing. What causes the acceleration if not gravity? Well, relative density disequilibrium causes acceleration. It causes a force. If an object is not in equilibrium with its surrounding and it can move freely, it will, if in this equilibrium, try to find its equilibrium point through displacement, and that displacement will be in the form of an acceleration. And that is where the force actually comes into play.
That's an excellent description. Your most concise to date. Excellent. Very good, Arwin.
Facts. Yeah. That makes plenty of sense. So what about like tides and stuff? From my knowledge, when we have waves and tides, that's caused from the.
Can I just add
Hold on,
to what Arwin was telling you?
You can, but just let him get to the end of his question. Go ahead.
I'm sorry,
Tactic.
but it's loud here.
So tides, they're apparently caused by the moon pulling them, right?
Yeah.
No. Gravity's not a force. It's not pulling anything.
Right. And even if it were, is the moon an object to be pulling onto the water in the first place?
So many questions.
Indeed.
Well, there's no. So the most important thing is that's a cause and effect question, and cause and effect questions are adjudicated by the scientific method via experiment.
Right.
Do you have an experiment that validates that the moon is causing the tides?
Yeah, the claim. Exactly.
Hold on, Owen. He might not understand the relevance of that question, but
do I have an experiment? No, I don't. I actually don't.
And neither do they. And neither do they.
Yeah,
that's the point.
That's the main point, Tactic. So they don't have any experimental validity being offered to this assertion that the moon is somehow pulling the tides along. I can't give you an explanation for the cause of the tides, but their explanation falls outside of scientific validity. That's the point.
I had a theory for it, though.
Gotcha.
Oh,
Okay.
Here we go. Someone's got a theory. Is this a Mystic Meg theory?
Well, he's got a theory. Post the experiment.
Hold on. Let's get it clear. Is this a Mystic Meg theory or a scientific theory?
More of a thought theory.
Mystic Meg. Go ahead, Flatsoid. Chocolate, I know you're waiting. My bad.
Now, I was speaking to Owen the other day, saying, don't you think water currents and things would actually cause tides?
Maybe.
Tides, you say?
Well,
You mean what causes the tides?
This is some beautiful speculation. Did you have something more relevant, Chocolate?
No, the only thing I was going to tell the guy is that this story about gravity that they give us, right? This force, one day it's a force, and then the next day it's the bending of a concept. The only reason they're giving us this story is so that they have a reason to tell us what's going on in the sky, right? They tell you that the same force, the same things that are causing your pen to fall to the floor are the same reasons why things are orbiting around in the sky above you, right? It's just nonsense so that you can relate what's going on here to what's going on up there, right? But like it has been said, they have no scientific evidence for any of this. That's really the point.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand, really, is that if they really wanted to show cause and effect, wouldn't they try and create like some really dense, I don't know, like a sphere or ball or a block of, super dense material, with all the technology they have, and do experiments with that to show it bending space-time or pulling water or something like that?
Well, trust me, they've tried. Guess why you don't see anything about that, though? Because it didn't work.
Well, they don't.
Because it all failed, they didn't get...
Well, let's just start it. If they're talking about the bending of a concept as the medium that this is going to take place in, where's the experiment? Let's just use their vernacular loosely as they do. Where's this experiment going to take place exactly? If it's the bending of a conceptual medium that's giving you the non-force force that you can think of as a force but isn't actually a force called gravity, where are we going to do this if the medium is space-time?
I don't know, some particle gravitational collider thingy that also causes mini tides in a reactor with neutrinos. I don't know what they'll come up with.
That's not space-time, is it?
Hold on. Wait, you gotta say.
That's not space-time.
You said non-force force. What?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Say it again, Nathan. Say it again.
The non-force, a force that you can think of as a force, but is not actually a force, called gravity, given rise to by the bending of a conceptual medium known as space-time. Now, given that the conceptual medium of space-time is where we'd need to get this scientific validity from, where are we going to be doing this, given that space-time is conceptual? I'm thinking maybe Narnia would be a good choice to do it in. Should we do it in Narnia? Equally valid as space-time? Yeah, space-time isn't a place we can do anything in. So how are we going to lend validity to anything that's taking place in a conceptual medium? Answer, we won't. Gravity's a farce.
Hey, ask the new gentleman. Also, let's just destroy the entire heliocentric spinning ball space monkey religion right at its core, right? How do you have gas pressure without a container?
Ooh.
According to my knowledge, that's not possible. So what is that referring to?
Well, the thing is that they tell you when you go outside and you look up that you're surrounded by a vacuum, right? But you just answered the question. You can't have gas pressure without a container. You also can't have a vacuum without a container. They tell you you go outside and it's the complete opposite. It's a violation of natural law.
So you're referring to basically you're referring to our atmosphere being right next to the vacuum itself, which is known as outer space.
Exactly.
Actually,
and they claim that gravity keeps it there.
Yeah. Because according to what gravity is, you're right. Gravity is supposed to be keeping us plus the atmosphere and everything intact with the Earth itself, the ball. That's
like we just went through.
No.
It's a concept.
No.
Right?
We just covered
there's
that.
a big problem with
Hold on. It's okay. I appreciate that you're new here, so we're being particularly gentle with you. No, it's not supposed to be holding the atmosphere on. That's not part of gas law. That's not what gas does. And also, gravity is not a force. So it's not holding gas on. It's just a violation of a natural law known as the second law of thermodynamics. So in terms of, we covered this a couple of days ago, gas law, it requires a volume for the gas to be in to calculate it. Well, that volume, in the case of the sphere world in a vacuum known as outer space, the volume would be all of space. But the gas, according to the religion of a sphere world, is just magically sticking to the side of a ball, not because of gravity, because gravity doesn't do that. It just is doing that. Just violating a natural law, as you do.
Even if gravity did exist, it would have no effect on entropy or gas pressure.
Right. According to their own presupposed calculations about gravity, about all the forces out there, gravity is supposed to be a weak force. If you're even going to accept that it is an actual force, which would be false. But if you accept that it would be, it's considered a weak force. Well, the force behind gas pressure expansion within a container is actually considered one of the strongest forces measured. And you can test it for yourself. Just like have a vacuum chamber and open it up, and bang, it's going to displace very powerfully so, sometimes with the shock wave. So
And
how is that presupposed weak force of gravity even going to theoretically keep the gas from expanding with explosive power into outer space?
And also
They
remember,
never
at the
fixed
same
that.
time, the Earth, the spinning ball Earth, is rotating on its axis at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, while moving around the sun at 66,600 miles per hour. Okay, chasing the sun around almost at 500,000 miles per hour. So all of that is happening in the middle of a vacuum, and this little blue marble in the middle of it is maintaining its atmosphere, and we're all breathing. It's magic, my friend. It's just magic.
When you think about it, that really does sound preposterous to me. 'Cause one of the things that got me thinking was I was thinking about that outer layer, right? Like the last outer layer. What's stopping that vacuum from just pulling in that outer layer of gas? I don't understand if it's not.
Well, that's usually our question to the guys who believe in the ball.
Hold on. One or the
Vacuum
other.
doesn't
Chocolate
pull.
or Arwin, I don't care who.
Sorry. It's just that vacuum doesn't pull. It's actually the gas that pushes into the lower pressure zone. You know, we think a vacuum cleaner pulls air in because it creates a lower pressure in relation to the nozzle, and that then displaces the air surrounding it into the vacuum cleaner. But a vacuum technically isn't something that does anything. It's always going to be the gas that expands within the lower pressure zone.
You want to ask your question again, Tactic?
Gotcha. Yeah. Basically, this was the thing that I had problems understanding, and I guess you guys explained it to me. So, when it comes down to our atmosphere, being that it is gas, that outer layer out there, I did wonder how did that outer layer, how is it possible that it didn't just expand into the vacuum, and then it just suck out all of our atmosphere and our breathing air. I looked on a podcast. I watched Joe Rogan a lot, and there was an interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And on that interview, Joe Rogan, he asked Neil deGrasse Tyson about gravity. This was probably maybe 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, something like that. And on his interview, this so happened to be the second time he interviewed Neil deGrasse Tyson, and the second time he asked about gravity. And Neil deGrasse Tyson, he seemed to be uneasy, and Joe Rogan picked up on it when he was trying to explain it to him. And he said, you seem to be uneasy about this. Why are you getting rattled up? And I was like looking at it, and I was like, man, something seems a little bit off. I thought that, it comes down to like astrophysicists or scientists. They're supposed to be happy about questions. And I was wondering, and then his explanation of gravity. On, bro, so that's what I guess that's the main thing that catapulted my desire to learn more about this, because it seems to be a lot of holes in it.
Oh, that is music to my ears. Let me get it straight. Joe Rogan has sent you on a path that's made your way to a flat earth debate forum. That is epic. But your question specifically was about, I can't remember if you phrased it slightly differently the second time. You said, how can it be not expanding into the lower pressure system if there's nothing to press on? Correct?
Right. Since according, what's his name? Arwin?
Yeah.
He said that it's pulling force.
Yeah, it's
so
pushing.
I tried to rephrase that and say, why didn't it expand into the vacuum?
Oh, it would. Rapidly.
Why doesn't it expand?
No, it would.
Why would
what this does is it debunks the notion that the sky is a vacuum. Outer space is fake for this reason, because the gas would fill the space. Space is fake. Sorry to break it to you like this.
Yes. And to expand a little, there is a lot of... Oh, sorry.
Hold on a second. Hold on, wait one. They say that there is a vacuum surrounding us.
Right.
We know that it's not So that's all we have to prove, that it's not. What is it? Who knows? But we definitely know it's not a vacuum. And so say goodbye to the heliocentric spinning
You don't
ball.
actually
Indeed.
know that, John.
Indeed. So if I may expand on that now, there can be quite a lot of room up there, although not with the astronomical amounts that are being presumed by the heliocentric model. But there can be quite a lot of vast amount of room up there, and whatever would be there would be part of the entire pressure gradient of the confine, which is what happens for some reason because of relative density, presumably. But there's not
Could I
going to be
ask-
any type
could
of
I ask-
vacuum anywhere. And there has
You
to
can
be
interrupt one
some
more
kind of
time, Brenda,
physical
then I'll kick
barrier
you
at
out.
some point.
How about that? Interrupt him again, Brenda, and you leave.
Oh God.
I'd like to ask a question, please.
I'd like you to shut up till Arwen's finished. It seems interesting that we get very seldom fundies come here, yet when we get a nice, amiable chap who's just asking questions about the world he lives in, suddenly Brenda makes an appearance to interrupt Arwen. What a shock. Don't interrupt him again, Brenda.
Right.
So again, what is up there way beyond our sight? Because sight has a kind of a range limitation built in. Optics is very complex at it as a side subject. It's a side matter. But it's kind of mysterious as to how things really work up there. We don't know a lot about it. There's a point after which helium balloons will simply not be able to rise any further, and they will keep stuck and then break. Because people have been sending balloons up to see what is up there, to try and see some kind of curvature or the lack thereof. But we don't really know what's way beyond that point. Now, people
What do
within
they-
NASA might know a little bit more, but yeah, they're just sticking to their own stories.
With the balloons you were talking about, what do they get? Like, what type of information or data do they get from the balloons that they send
Video
up?
footage, temperature, pressure, that kind of thing.
Not
Oh,
curvature. Curvature
Yeah,
is...
no curvature.
Well, only because it's a reification of the horizon. So the horizon is not the leading edge of a sphere. When they say, oh, we're looking for curvature, no, they're just looking at the horizon. And the horizon is a not actual location. A bit like gravity is a not actual force. Shout out to Dave Rakia Gafford, who says, Rakia, life is growing. Wizards past creator is real. All glory to God. Massive thank you to David Rakia Gafford for hitting the super chat. Really appreciate your support. Go on,
Can
Brenda.
I ask my?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, have you figured out what a mole is and what mass is?
No, unfortunately not.
No, you don't know what.
No, what's mass?
Have you figured it out, Brenda?
Mass is the resistance. Yes, I have. So mass is a resistance. It's inertia. It's the resistance to acceleration, right? And a mole is the number of atoms in an equivalent substance to 12 grams of.
Sound like you don't know what you're talking about. You said mass is inertia. What happened there?
Yes,
No,
I asked you what
resistance
mass
inertia.
was, and you've just detailed what a mole is and what inertia is. So what's mass?
Yeah, a mass is the resistance to acceleration.
That's inertia. You just told me that was inertia.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So that's not a mass then, that's inertia then.
Yeah, they're nearly equivalent.
Excuse me, nearly
mass commonly
equivalent.
known as inertia then.
Nearly equivalent. I asked you what mass was. You've described inertia and detailed what that is, then detailed what a mole is, then said that they're nearly equivalent. What the hell does nearly equivalent mean? What's mass?
No, I didn't say a mole and mass are.
Sorry, what's mass?
The amount of substance in a material.
That's a mole.
No.
Yes, that is a mole. Didn't you come here asserting that I didn't know what mole was? When you said you don't know what mole and mass is? No, I don't know what mass is. I know what a mole is. That's a mole.
No, a mole is a number. It's the equivalent number to the same number of atoms in 12 grams of carbon.
And that's even wrong.
Yeah, that's not true anymore. That's about 6 months out of date. Sorry, did you know that was about 6 months
you're
out
just-
of date?
you're just
talking
wrong.
through me,
You're just
Brenda.
wrong.
Brenda, you seem to be talking through me. Did you realise that that's not the definition of a mole anymore?
Go ahead.
Ask it again. Did you know that that is no longer the definition of a mole or not?
A mole is
Don't
the
repeat
number
it.
of fundamental units, the same number as there are
Oh
in
my
exactly
God,
12
Brenda, are
grams
you deaf?
of carbon-12.
Wrong.
Yes
That
or
is
no
not the current definition. I'm asking if you were unaware of that, and it seems the answer is yes. The person coming here to assert that I don't know what mole is doesn't know what mole is. Brenda, that's not the correct terminology for the current description of a mole. It changed very recently. It seems you are unaware of this, Brenda. The person coming here to tell me that I don't know what mole is, and the person who is yet to define what mass is.
That's fine. Go ahead and correct me and tell me what the correct definition of a mole is, please.
Avogadro's number of elementary entities.
Right. And how many? So Avogadro's number is 6.022 or 10 to the 23rd atoms, right? That's Avogadro's number.
Atoms, not atoms. I said elementary entities.
Yeah, atom.
No.
Not atoms. Elementary entities, not atoms.
Yeah, I know. That's the same thing.
No,
Yeah,
it's
you know.
not.
Then
Are
why
you
did you just say atom again?
Dumbo, it seems pretty clear that you don't know what mole it is. You said it was.
Yeah,
You said it was in relation to carbon C12. Now we seem to be segueing away from that old description of mole, don't we? So is it not that thing that you asserted earlier?
They're the same thing.
No, they're not. The definition's recently changed from what you gave to what you're now discussing with John. Now, do I know this description off the top of my head? I'll confess my ignorance. No, I don't. I don't know how many molecules of C12 it would be compared to, and I don't know how to detail the current description of mole. What I do know is it's the amount of stuff in something. Something that's often described as being mass. So mole is not mass. Equally, it's not inertia, but you came in asserting that I don't know what either of these things are. You then described what inertia was, what a mole was incorrectly, and you didn't tell us what mass is.
Yeah, you still don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, is this the last hurrah globehead defense of you just don't understand? It would seem so. Is that the end of your argument and an adequate demonstration that you do not know what mole is?
How many atoms?
Why are you asking me something? You've come here to claim I don't understand something. Then you've had your ass handed to you and you're still yet to describe and define what mass is.
How many atoms are in...
Why are you asking me something? What is mass?
Resistance to acceleration.
That's inertia.
Sure, yes, they're related.
They're not related. That's called an equivocation. Do you understand what an equivocation is?
No, they're just different words.
Do you understand what an equivocation is? Silence from the person coming here to tell me I don't understand things. I'll take that as a no. I have no slightest clue what an equivocation is. The very thing I'm doing by saying something is the same as something else that has the same description and explanation and definition. This is called an equivocation. It is not inertia, because inertia is inertia, Brenda. What's mass?
Inertia isn't a thing.
Oh, what? So why has it got a definition? It's not a thing. What are you talking about? You've just defined it for us.
Did you throw it down the memory
Inertia's-
hole, Brenda? Doesn't exist anymore. Now.
Inertia is not a thing.
Not a thing. Why has it got a definition then, you stupid bonehead?
Mass is a thing.
Mass is a thing. Inertia isn't, even though you've given me a definition of inertia and not one for mass.
Is that the official definition? Mass is a thing? Great. Thanks.
Yeah, mass is a substance. It's a substance.
What substance is it?
So when do you want to debate?
We are debating. We're handing you your own ass.
Wow,
Shout out.
Brenda, you are off the chain.
Shout out to Unidella. Is that right? I probably said that incorrectly. Brenda Einhorn Finkel, not very smart BTW.
Einhorn. Why don't you just stick with your shoe?
So when do you want to debate now?
We are debating. This is your also crap end hurrah. When you've had your ass handed to you, you ask us when we'd like to debate you. You came here claiming I didn't understand what mole was. Now, coincidentally, someone else had a massive, long tirade at me about what mole was yesterday in the Flat Earth Uncut and After Show chat. So there's obviously some relation to this. I don't know what it is. I'm sure I'll find out eventually. But it seems you've come here now, you're talking through me, to tell me I don't know what mole is. Now, the reason we talk about mole here is because it's often equivocated with mass.
No, nobody does that.
What's mass? What's mass? £10 gives a guaranteed bet that she will either give me the definition of inertia or give me the incorrect, old, outdated definition of mole when I ask her what mass is. So I'll try again. Let's see how she gets on. What's mass?
The quantitative measure of
Got half a sentence. The quantitative measure of... Like pulling teeth. Clear enough when she's not got a crap point to make.
You.
Now she's talking through me, of course. Clear as crystal when she needs to rumpus. Loses all control of her mic when she's actually got to summarise her own point that we've just debated about. What's mass?
Because you have your...
Oh, now it's going to move on to ad homs. An inconcise, cut-off definition of mass, then on to the ad homs. Try to concisely summarise what mass is, Brenda. 20th time I've asked.
Yes, it's the quantitative measure of inertia. That's what mass is.
That's inertia. Quantitative measure of inertia would be inertia.
Inertia is a property. It's not a substance.
Sorry, I'm not asking about inertia, dipshit. You complete bonehead. Why are you suddenly segueing into what inertia is? I don't want you to define inertia. I want you to define mass.
She said
mass is defined in terms of inertia.
Two people spoke at once.
Brenda, is inertia a thing? Because before, like 2 minutes ago, you said it wasn't a thing. So now, is it a thing? What's going on?
It's not. Inertia is not a thing.
It's not a thing.
Why do you keep defining it then? Wow. So it won't be a thing until it's a subset of mass. Then it will be a thing because it's a subset derivative of mass, right? So then it'll be a thing.
So if you had this set up properly so that we could actually talk instead of you having speaker priority, that would be better. Or invite me in.
Oh, would it now? Oh, would it? Oh, that's such a shame that you don't get to make your crap points through me.
You wouldn't be so frustrated. You wouldn't be so frustrated.
Frustrated with people talking through me without me being able to control them on my own show. What, you think that you should have control of the show, do you, Brenda?
So Nathan.
So that didn't get an answer. With that, I'll say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you tuned in live on the Nathan Oakley 1980 Premiering stream for smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to stay tuned if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley Premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!